What's up, guys? It is Loomis Adventure here, and I am coming at you with 7 tips and tricks to give us all what we really crave in New World. That's right, gold pieces. So, that being said, we're going to head up to the market and jump right in. Alright, tip number 1 is to sell in busy markets. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'm just going to go to every last market and see how busy it is, but there is actually an easy way to do this. So, we are currently in First Light Market. You can see that displayed right up here. If you click right up here to the top right, and this is a very helpful spot for you regardless, you can click on any market you would like. Okay, so if I want to see how things are trading in Windsward, I will simply click Windsward. And then if you notice right here, you see how many pages of items are currently on that market, which gives you a very good indication of how many items are actually listed, or how many people are selling or have orders posted in that particular market. So I can do this for any market I'd like. We see 500 there, we had 382 at First Light. If I want to check Everfall, we can click here and see there's also 500 there, which is actually where it caps. So this would tell me Everfall and Windsward are both very busy markets. We can also go to, let's see, where else? We go to Monarch's Bluff. Let me shut this down. And then we can just look at Monarch's Bluff. Gotcha. Okay, so that is tip number 1. Tip number 2, look at other locations, markets as well. So this is another tool. Again, right back here to the top right, we can actually see all the various different types of markets we have available to us. But what can be very helpful is clicking this button right here, which is all settlements. So let's type in a particular item. Let's say iron ore, which is a very common one that you might want to sell or buy. And as you can see, it will default to displaying gold price from the cheapest all the way to the most expensive. So right now, the cheapest that it's selling here at First Light, as you can tell right up here, is 2.42 gold pieces. But I don't know if that's a good price or not. What if I could travel to Monarch's Bluff and get it for 1 gold piece? Well, you can tell that, and if you click all settlements, will automatically switch to everywhere and tell you where to get it. So, if I wanted to, I could fly or travel, to Monarch's Bluff, and I could buy up to 568 of these for 1.25 gold each. Okay, so this is a really helpful tool to actually see what's a good price and what isn't, and you can even get a average of what it's selling for at all the different places, or at least a pretty good idea. You can see it goes all the way down to 2.1. So really, First Light is a very expensive place to stop and buy iron ore. Okay, that brings me on to number 3. A popular item to get rid of is going to be base resources. I'm talking about stuff like iron ore, greenwood, rawhide, stuff like that. So, reason being is you use these resources for so many different things, including missions, town missions. You can make stuff with them to gain crafting experience. All of these things mean base resources are in very high demand, and the people that are paying the gold, i.e. paying you gold, like to use these base resources to gain experience for themselves or to complete missions in the town project board. Moving on to number 4. Set your time to 1 day. So let's go back to where I am just selling in First Light. Okay, so I'm going to sell me some iron ore. I'm going to place a sell order. So as you can see, if I want to sell, in this case, 1, and I want to put it for, if I'm selling 1 iron ore and I want to put it for 14 days out, my listing fee is $4.28. However, you can adjust this to 28, 14, 7, 3, and 1. The farther you go out, the more expensive that's going to be. Markets in New World, especially right now, early on, shortly after launch, are very volatile. So you don't know what's going to happen 14 days out. My advice is to set it to 1 day. Look how much. Look at the difference. 428 all the way down to 0.57. And so there's a good chance you're going to know if you're going to be profitable or not within a day. And you're probably going to want to cancel it if it's not selling by that time anyway. So again, My advice, set that all the way down to 1 day. Okay, that brings me on to number 5. You're going to sell your base resources. You might be tempted to simply click on sell and then scroll through this list of all the things you own in that particular town that you have available to sell. Maybe it's Crossweave. So I'm going to sell Crossweave, and if I click place sell order here, it will automatically default to whatever the lowest price currently on the market is, the lowest sell order that's already out there. That way you're competitive, and you can either make it higher or lower, whatever you want to do. Now, here is my advice. Don't jump straight to this screen when selling. Before you sell, go back to the buy screen and type in the item that you are planning on selling right here. Then you can see all the buy orders. So in this case, if you notice, I have Crossweave right here at 0.5, right? And then it jumps all the way up to 0.99 from that. And really, there's not even that many at 0.99. So here's where we start getting a little advanced. What if you go in here and you go ahead and buy, spend money to make money, right? You go ahead and buy out all the Crossweave at 0.5. Okay, so we buy that, and then we relist at 0.8. We still have the cheapest Crossweave on the market. We will get 0.3 higher for all of our Crossweave, and we're going to profit off this whole 296 that we bought, assuming that it all sells. Now, keep in mind these are live markets, and people can come in right behind you and always list lower or higher or what have you, but that's kind of part of it. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's really smart to go ahead and buy out as long as you can afford it, and it's there's a big gap like this. It's smart to buy out the lowest item first and then relist all of it in that same market. And that brings me on to number 6, which is throw out buy orders for certain common resources like base resources. Let me give you an example. If you type in, let's say iron ore, click there, you can actually place a buy order for this at any price you like. So if you click right here, and you can once again change this to however many days you'd like to be valid, however many you want. Let's say I'll buy up to 1,000 as long as they're, let's say 0.5. Now, if these are incredibly low, your chances of getting them filled become pretty slim. But there is a possibility, because when other players go to place a sell order, they will see your buy order lingering there, and they can simply click on it and then sell their goods right away versus waiting for them to sell in the market. And there is still a listing fee here, so be mindful of that. Okay, now moving on to number 7. Okay, number 7 is pretty basic, but just throwing it out there is, once again, going into the market, don't be afraid to utilize this all market settlements tool right here, especially when we're talking about base resources, which are likely to be the most commonly traded resources out there. So if I type in iron ore, once again, in our example, don't be afraid to fast travel to Monarch's Bluff. Hopefully you've already discovered it where you can do that. Buy up all these iron ore, and then you can either bring it back here or bring it to one of these any number of these other places where it may be selling much higher, like here at First Light, for example. That is a really good way to spend a little bit of Azoth and potentially make really big money. Just make sure your inventory is empty before heading that way, because you will need to fill up your inventory to get back. Also be mindful that once your inventory is full of that iron ore, it's going to cost you a lot more Azoth to teleport back. Okay guys, that's it. You have no excuse not to be incredibly rich in New World now. If any of you have any other ideas of ways that you can make a lot of extra jangle on New World, like selling equipment in the markets or anything like that, please leave it in the comments for all of us to learn. And if you enjoyed this content and you would like to see more of it, please consider liking this video and also subscribing to my channel. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day.